Hello and welcome to EndNote in an Hour, the recording of our webinar so that you can follow through more slowly, stop and rewatch as you please as you are learning EndNote. My name is Tara Starbird and I am with the Australian National University Library's Digital Literacy Training Team. So today's webinar is going to run you through the essentials of using EndNote and of using EndNote to cite in Word. So great reference management tool, really recommended for undergrad and postgrad, people who are getting a bit more serious about their referencing and want to organize it, manage it, and have a lot less stress at assignment time. So I'll just go through some other places you can go for support and then run you through what this session will cover. So what we really recommend is if you're having trouble with EndNote, there are fantastic forums. It's widely used around the world. So even just Google your problem with the word EndNote and you'll probably find a response in the forum to someone who solved this problem before. Also on YouTube, there's some fantastic, really short videos to just help you refresh a skill that you need in EndNote and repeat those steps. Also, we have a really great EndNote guide, which has screenshots and examples and explanations for how to do all the main things you would want to do in EndNote, and even some of the more fiddly advanced bits that you may want to move on to when you're feeling more confident. Okay, so obviously, EndNote is a reference management tool that is funded through the ANU, so free for ANU staff and students. And what Library does is try our best to support students and staff in learning how to competently use it. So in the first part, what I'm going to cover is opening EndNote, saving a library, starting to import some references, both manually and from SuperSearch and Google Scholar, how to then attach full text, annotate PDFs, and even import PDFs. So that you can start to build that library with the actual PDFs attached. Then how to look at the references themselves and see, like, have they come across well? Do they look all right? Do they suit the style I'm choosing? Because they're not always going to come across perfectly. So I can't stress enough that it's really important to know your style. Whatever style it is, there are style guides, there are quite strict guidelines on how you reference. So make sure as you're bringing stuff into EndNote, you're just keeping a little eye on how it looks so that you can make sure that your referencing style is going to be nice, going to be crisp and consistent. Then I'm going to go through some of our useful tips, must-dos in EndNote. The thing I can't stress enough is create a single library. So when you open EndNote for the first time, save your library, and that is your library. You can then sort by groups and folders and get really organized, but do not have multiple libraries for different assignments or different chapters. It just confuses EndNote, and it's how you get your document to corrupt. So EndNote isn't perfect. It's a software that communicates with Word, and really you need to follow a certain set of steps and procedures that might seem pretty fiddly, but it's really important that you follow them because EndNote works well when you're following those procedures. So once we feel comfortable putting some citations in EndNote and sort of organizing ourselves, in the second part, I'm going to show you the really beautiful part where you can just start plonking citations in as you're writing. And that's really a beautiful thing. We've probably all often gone back to an assignment and found missing citations where you've got to go then find it, and it's quite confusing and stressful. So we're going to show you how to do it as you're writing to avoid those problems. So we're going to be selecting and adding references with different styles. We're going to be inserting those citations. We're going to be adding prefixes, suffixes, page numbers, all those little formatting things we can do to make the style more consistent and follow whatever your lecturer's guidelines are. I'll show you two types of citations today, which is in text, where you got those little parentheses, brackets, and footnoted, which is that little number and then the information at the bottom of the page. In terms of styles, there's over 3,000 different referencing styles. So we're obviously not going to cover all of those today. I'm going to demonstrate with APA and Chicago. But once you know an in-text style and a footnoted style, it's very similar. The procedure and how you put it in, it's just going to be the overall look at the end. So hopefully we'll cover all of that. The good thing about video is you can slow me down if I'm talking too fast or speed me up if I'm talking too slow, pause and rewatch if necessary. And definitely, and notice something that a lot of people attend our workshop more than once, and watching the video more than once and refreshing things is totally normal. Okay, so how will we begin? We're going to open EndNote. Very simple, very straightforward. So let's exit out of this little PowerPoint. And I've got EndNote down here in my little taskbar, but what you can also do is search EndNote, let it come up. There we go, and you can launch. Obviously it's just disappeared there. There we go, it's having a launch. Yes, it just doesn't like that I've deleted the last library that I had. Okay, lovely. So this is EndNote. Looks a bit like Word. You can probably see some similarities, file, edit, and all that thing. But at the moment, there's nothing here. So what we need to do is create that single library I told you about. So you want you to click New, and let's save that to desktop. I save everything to my desktop for display purposes. It just makes a lot of sense. So I'm just going to call it my name. I probably don't want to. Tara's EndNote library. Save. Has a little think, and here is my library. So consider this your digital bookcase. So we're going to start putting citations in it, and it's going to just list them in alphabetical order. After a while, we can start to organize it just like you would a normal bookcase, and then we can get really clever and show you some smart organization tools that come built into EndNote that will really save you time and stress. What we're going to do is just start with a citation. So the real power of EndNote is going into a search engine and just bringing over a lot of references at once, but there will be times you need to actually manually enter a citation. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. So I want you to click on here, and I'm just going to click this button here, which is the little square with the plus sign. It's a little document, and that is how to add a new reference. If you're into shortcuts, it tells you what to do there, which is Control-N, but I'm just going to click for today. And I'm going to add a reference. So here we can see up the top it says reference type. And you'll probably notice when you've referenced before that you have to reference in a slightly different way depending on the information source you're using. So EndNote just gets you to tag what the information source is. Now, not every single thing is here, but there is a lot of options. As you can see, social media, pamphlet, patent, we have government documents, all kinds of things. And if your reference doesn't particularly match one of these, it's often just good to find the closest suitable one, because the person reading your reference list isn't going to know you chose that one. It's just going to be the order in which everything appears. So I'm going to pick a book today, and I'm going to make myself the author as I can. And in EndNote, we always put the surname first, comma, first name. And that's just sort of a Western writing style thing. It's not something you're really going to find different anywhere else. So Tara Starbird. I'm going to make mine fairly recent, 2018. I'm going to call my book Libraries and Chocolate, A Dynamic Journey. Okay, and I'm going to say it's published right here in sunny Canberra, and it's published by ANU Press. Again, you can pop in your own books that you actually have or some fake ones just to get that practice. Now, there's lots of other fields I can fill in, but it's by no means required. Typically, you want to put the information in if it's going to be of benefit to you later. So if I was reading a physical book and I don't have the rest of the citation information, I might want to come down here to keywords and just pop in some words that will help me later, refresh my memory and help me find that reference. So I might write chocolate, cocoa, librarian, and mental health. I might do that in quotation marks. There we go. So I've just got a few keywords. It means I'll be able to remember what it was I read and just have a bit of meaning in that. And that, again, that's all up to you. You can add some research notes of your own if you say you want to quote this in a specific chapter or assignment. It's really all for your benefit. Now, EndNote has a really weird thing that you save it by closing, which is weird. It will often, the first time you do this, ask you to say, yes, you want to save, and that's fine. So it's come through here. We can see all the fields there, which I can change at any time. And then I can have a look at preview. See, at the moment, if I look here in referencing style, which is just this little box up here, I've got a few to choose from, but there's obviously many more. Right now I'm seeing APA. I can select Chicago. You see how it just changes slightly? It just gives me an idea of what it will look like in my reference list. And this is where you want to be keeping an eye on the references to see how they're coming through. Occasionally they may come through with all caps or a misspelled author's name, and you want to keep an eye on that to fix it before you bring it into Word, because it's just a bit less tedious to fix in EndNote itself. So I might look at Harvard AGPS, which is another one used quite commonly at ANU, and see that's changed again. We don't have the indent and we don't have the brackets on the date. And there are a lot of references. Let's just say that. There's over 3,000. I can't tell you the number. It changes. Over 3,300 at the moment. And you can scan through those and find the one you need. If miraculously we do not have that one, you can import that file and put it in. A lot of journals have their own very bespoke style that they use, and you can just grab that style file from them, pop it into EndNote, and it will automatically format yours for that style. So I won't need that for today because I'm really only going to be demonstrating APA and Chicago. So let's pop that back to APA. It's my preferred style, so I'll just acknowledge my bias there. So we have one reference. That's great, but it's not really showing you the power of EndNote. So what I'm going to do is open up the ANU Library webpage, and we'll get a bit more heavy duty in our searching so we can really see the power of EndNote. So let's just open up ANU Library. Obviously, I've got some odd searches done as a research librarian. Let's look up something a bit more fun today. Okay, I might do chocolate milk consumption and mussels. So I've just put that in quotation marks with my little Boolean and just to give the search engine a little bit more information to get me what I want. But today I'm not really looking for quality. I'm just looking to import references into EndNote. Let's see what's written. Well, 109 results, so not a ton for this topic, but that's all right. That's not what I'm interested in. Now I can go directly into this and import, but a quicker way to do it is to just go to these little dots and export to down here, EndNote. So it's going to have a little think, and it's going to save that. And I might do it again with this one. EndNote, have a little think, and save. Now, when I minimize this, and I'll minimize EndNote as well, they've come across to my other screen, which isn't very useful for demonstration purposes, but I'll bring those files over here. Now, at the moment, this computer is being a bit annoying. Usually, when you bring it over, you can just double click and it loads straight into EndNote. But at the moment, this computer also seems to be running another reference management tool. So I need to do open with EndNote. Okay, and there it is. So I've brought that through from Super Search straight through, and I can see in my preview it's come through beautifully. So let's just do that second one. I'm going to go open with EndNote. And again, it's come through beautifully. I now have 3 references. Let's go in there. So beautiful. I have 3 references already ready to go. So that's fantastic. The real beauty of EndNote, though, is when I can do a bulk import. And that's where I can get quite a large number of citations and bring them through all at once, all beautifully formatted. So I'll just demonstrate that now. So I'm not going to pick the top 3 because I've already done those, but what I'm going to do is click on this little folder with a plus sign. You can see it's quite tiny. And as I do it, you'll notice that this number is increasing up the top. And so that's saving to a temporary folder. Now, if I close my machine or close my browser and come back, it will not be there. So be mindful to do this fairly regularly. But I'm just going to go through and save 10 of these, just so I've got a little bit to play with. 9 and 10. So once you have the number you want, and again, some researchers, some researchers have told me that they've put in over 100 at a time. It just takes a little bit longer. Okay, so let's go into saved items, and I'm going to export. So let's go down to EndNote and export. It's going to have a little think, and then it's going to do my exports. We'll save that to my desktop. Beautiful. So I'm just going to minimize that again, and I'll minimize EndNote so I can demonstrate this. I'll pop that one there. Again, I'm going to have to do this sort of longer import thing because this computer is being a bit finicky. But really, once you have it on your computer and you don't have other reference management software, just a double click will bring it straight through. So pop that in, and I've got some references. Of course, a few have come through without authors, which is very annoying, but these things happen. So let's zoom that in. So this is going to be in here as no author. So let's go no author. And this one we can put no author. Okay, and that is going to be a bit of a challenge. So I might make one of these an actual department. So let's go Loughborough, I don't know how to pronounce that, University. And I'll put a little comma on the end because that's not an actual person's name. That is a corporate author. So let's pop that in. And I might make that one again as well. Let's see how that's coming through. There we go. So we are getting something there. Ideally, that wasn't a good example, but that's what happens when you're doing this on the fly. Okay, so we now have 13 references, which isn't too bad. You can go back again to Super Search and grab some more if you like. Clear all. Yes. Let's just go chocolate milk and health. And I'll just grab a few more. So I've got a few more authors to play with while I'm doing my demonstrations. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be fine. Let's export that to EndNote. And there we go again. So I'll just minimize that, pop that over here so I can show you. Pop that in and hopefully we'll get some nice authors' names in here. Oh, it's done Satiro again, cancel. Oh, Satiro, there we go. Now I've learned my lesson, you'd think after a while. Let's get that in. There we go, 4 references with surnames, thank you. Much easier and looking really nice as they've come through, I can see. Beautiful. So that's given me a fairly decent list. And this is a very similar procedure if you want to do this from other databases, especially if you have alumni access at other universities, or if you want to use Google Scholar, which a lot of people do. So I'll just quickly demonstrate how you would do that in Google Scholar so you have an idea of how that works. Okay, so let's open up a window again. And we'll go to Google Scholar. Now we might pick something a little bit different. Let's maybe do social media. There we go. And psychology. So it might be an interesting, fairly generic topic, over 1 million results. Now in Google Scholar, you can't do the bulk upload that you can in ANU Super Search unless you are signed into Gmail. So I'm not going to sign into Gmail today, that's my private account, but you can, when signed in, do that bulk upload. But for the purposes of today, I'm just going to show you how to do single ones. And that's this little quotation thing here called cite. The annoying thing with databases is the way to download the citation for EndNote isn't the exact same on every page. So sometimes you need to look around for a little quotation or a little cite thing or something that will give you a clue, but it's not always obvious. So in Google Scholar, it's this little cite button. Now, a lot of people just copy and paste this straight to their reference list. And you know, that's fine, but when you're dealing with a bigger reference list and as you're getting higher up in your research, it's really not that practical. So I'm going to go down the bottom here and just click EndNote, and that will download the file for EndNote. So it's going to pop that to my desktop. And I might just do that a few times so we can see this one. Yes, EndNote. Save. And it's fairly simple. Oh, there we go. EndNote. Save. Okay, so that's how you do it. And for me, it's going to say find it at ANU because I've set up Google to be linked to my libraries. But if you haven't done that, it's just going to find sort of PDFs and a lot more gray literature. So I really recommend looking up how to do that. And we do show it in our longer session, but there really isn't time in the webinar. So let's just minimize this and EndNote so we can find those beautiful Google Scholar files, which annoyingly keep going on my right-hand side screen. So what I'm going to do is just double click, and that one comes in, double click, that comes in, double click, that comes in. And now when I go to my big reference library, my single library, I can see that I've got 20 citations here, ready to be plunked into a document when I'm working on Word. So that's all fine and well, but I don't have PDFs attached to these, do I? So a lot of researchers, and me myself, I prefer to have the PDFs linked to EndNote so that I can be going back and forth and checking on the chapter that I'm quoting, and it just makes it a lot more streamlined. So what I'm going to do is show you the different ways you can attach PDFs to your documents. Now there is the good old-fashioned way where you click on a reference and you put this little paperclip icon and you can attach a file. And I'm just going to demonstrate that now with a file that I have just lying around, and plonk, there it is. So obviously it's not the exact what it's meant to be, but that's how we do it. And I can pop that open and have a look at that document, and I can, recall that when I'm doing my reading. So let's just close it. EndNote also has this annoying thing where closing the program is this X and closing the actual citation is this X. So be very mindful you don't close your library. It does save as you go. It's just really annoying. Okay, so I've attached a single PDF. Lovely. But I want to try to import a few at a time. So what I'm going to do is just pick a few references. And I'll let you know that doing all of the references at once, if you have quite a large amount, will take a fair bit of time. But I'm just going to demonstrate with a few today. So I click on references, or I can also right click on the text I've highlighted and go down, down, down to find full text. And again, find full text. Just going to have a little authentication. Yes, continue. Continue. There we go. So let it have a think while it's searching those 7 that I've highlighted. And when it finds one, a little paperclip will appear. Okay, so it's found 3, which is lovely. I've tried to demonstrate this in class, and sometimes I get a really good hit rate, and other times I don't. So far only 1 not found, which isn't too bad. And yeah, 6 found, beautiful. So these ones already have a PDF attached to them, ready to go. And again, I click this little icon and I open them up. I can have a full view of them, have a read. And there's also some annotation options up here where I can perhaps highlight and pop that there. I may go down and find another area that I want to strike out. I might say, oh, I disagree with this for whatever reason. I might want to strike that through. I can also add little notes to myself. So, and again, this is very much based on your preference. I might like to do something, contrast in chapter 4 with Smith, 2013. So it just gives me a little refresher. Oh yes, I did want to contrast that with this. Just little bits of meaning you can imbue the document with. And again, when I close it, I've got to find this teeny little X compared to the one right next to it that closes the whole program. Yes, I want to save. And now I see when I click on this, I can actually see the stuff I've done to the document. So it's really useful. It's effectively doing what you would do on paper anyway, but it's permanent and you're not going to lose it. And it saves a tree. So that's sort of playing around with your PDF and doing some things with it. And that's lovely. I've got a few PDFs here. And I've shown you how to manually attach a PDF, but a lot of researchers come to us and actually say, no, I've got a PDF, a massive PDF file. Can I bring that across? And the answer is yes, but the difficulty is that the metadata doesn't always come across. So the metadata is all this beautiful citation information that we have here that gives us that nice reference. I've demonstrated this in class and had all of them come across beautifully, and I've demonstrated it and had none of them come across. So to demonstrate what that looks like, I'm going to go up here to File and down to Import. So let's import a file, and I actually have some files already pre-prepared. Choose, and I'm going to go to my ones that have no metadata just to show you what happens when I bring across these. And they look completely the same as the ones that I bring across that happen to have metadata. There's no way to look at it to know. Make sure your import option is PDF because there's a lot of options that can come here. And let's go import. So this one comes across just with the file name. So not a lot of use. Means I'm going to have to manually insert that myself, which is a little bit tedious, but it happens. Now, I have ones that do work beautifully. So what I'm going to do is import folder. And I'm going to get the folder I have named bulk PDFs, and I'm just going to click that. And yep, make sure it's PDF, import all. I might discard duplicates if there are, and let's go. So it's going to have a little think about that. And this depends on how many you do. I've had researchers say they've put through 50 or 100 at a time, and they leave it and make a cup of tea, have a little drink. But you may want to batch them in sort of 10, 20, so you're not waiting all day for them to go through. This isn't going too badly. It seems to be progressing quite well. Of course, I say that, and now it slows down. But you'll really see the beauty of this when you've just brought through a whole bunch of PDFs ready to go. And I've, of course, vetted these, so they all come through nicely with all that citation information. Oh, what do you know? Perfect. So here they are, all ready to go, all with a lovely attachment that I can look at and mark up as I please. Yeah, so lovely, lovely tool, and just so useful when you want to have those attachments connected to it. And that's essentially getting your PDFs in there and making sure that you can put meaning in them and making sure you can organize your reference. Now you may find a reference that comes through with some messy data, and I find the best way to demonstrate that is actually with Chicago style, because Chicago style will sometimes have a very ugly URL in it. So let's see if I can find one as an example. There we go. So Chicago style puts in the URL, APA doesn't anymore. So this in a reference list will look terrible, will look horrible. You do not want it, but there's a way around it. So what you're going to do is go in, go down through all your fields and find that URL. Now, if you're very meticulous, you may want to put this in your research notes if you think you might need it, but you really can just delete it. It's not that important. But again, it's up to you. And so now when I preview that again, beautiful, looking lovely. And it looks like all of these no author ones are going to have those ugly URLs. So yeah, I might leave one or two in there just as a great example of how to get rid of them once they are in Word. So I'll just plunk that one away and get rid of it. It's a really good idea as you're going through your EndNote library, really just keep an eye on what's coming through, what the URLs look like, what it all looks like, to see that it's nice and tidy and working well. I think that was one back here that had quite an ugly URL, or was it this one? Next one. Anyway, this one, there we go. So that's a really ugly one, and we'll need to fix that because if you try to bring that through to Word, it's going to be hideous. Okay, so we've pretty much covered the basics of using EndNote. The last few things I'll show you are just going to be organizing your groups, which is really, really useful. A lot of undergrads use groups in a really simple way, so just their assignments. It's a really good way to just plonk everything in you need. And as you get a bit more advanced, you might want to move on to smart groups, but again, it's not required. So you can go up here to groups, or you can right-click on groups. And you just go create a group set. So I'm going to just call this normal group. And normal group is a standard file. So it's just a folder. You hold down the control key and you select the ones that you want in this group. And you drag it over. If I can make it go. It's not going to behave for me today. Oh, normal group. It's not created itself. There we go. Having a bit of luck today with this one. Let's just click a few, drag it over to the group. I'm not adding it today. Very frustrating. Let's see if I can bring one over. Create a group. Group one. There we go. For some reason, this group's created itself separately. I'm just going to shift to here and drag that across. There we go. How strange. It was just misbehaving today. Again, let's just go into groups and create group. So what I'll do now is create a smart group. So let's go create smart group, new smart group. And this is where you're going to be bossy, sort of like your personal assistant. You're saying, oh, please bring me references that have this, this, and this in it. Today I'll be pretty general in what I'm looking for, but you can be as specific as you like, and you can add as many fields as you like. This is actually quite a lot like Boolean, which you may have heard of in your undergrad or in high school. It's just a way of telling a search engine what you're looking for. So it uses the connecting words and, or, and not. So basically say, I don't want anything with the word chocolate in it. That would be a not. You know, you're just sort of kind of bossing around the little group thing. So today I'm going to be broad. I've got any field with PDF and notes, any field with PDF and notes, and any field with PDF and notes. I can add as many of these as I like. So instead of and, which would narrow my results, I'm going to do some ors, so I can just get a really broad range of things. So I might put chocolate and learn and library, very broad words, and I'll just create. And 24 of the 28 meet that criteria. So I can right click and go in and edit that group at any time. I might put not library and save, and then I only have 20. So you can go in as many times as you like and change the parameters of that smart group. You can do that for chapter headings if you're doing a thesis and just find all the work by one author or by 1 year. It's really up to you. It's kind of a way for you to organize, and it's at your discretion how much or how little you do. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is just going to be part of that whole EndNote hygiene thing of saving your library. So I've got all my references up here, all 28 of them. You should regularly save a backup. So backups should be saved to a hard drive or to a USB. I do not recommend saving them to a cloud drive because they tend to get corrupted and are unreadable. EndNote doesn't like those. So it's best practice to save regularly to a USB. So that is simple. We go to File and Compress Library, and we save it with or without the PDF attachments, give it a name and save it. So that's what I really recommend doing fairly regularly to just keep that up and not end up losing some of your documents. Okay, so that's EndNote in a nutshell. You're sort of hopefully comfortable using EndNote. Feel free to repeat any steps if you feel comfortable. What I'm going to do is just show you a little bit about referencing styles before I move on to using Word with EndNote. Okay, so let's go from current slide. Okay, so we're in EndNote. Next one, we've got referencing styles. So as I said before, there's over 3,000 referencing styles, and you know that can do your head in, but really you just kind of need to focus that there are two types that you're mostly going to come across. And one is the in-text style, which is APA, Harvard, among others, and that's where there's just brackets, so parenthetical, and you'll see that a lot. And so the two examples I have of how parenthetical typically appears is information prominent. That's with the information at the front, the author information at the end, and then author prominent, which can be really common if the person you're quoting is a really key figure in your field, or you want to just state their name because you're going to be talking about them a fair bit. So the author prominent is like Starbird and Ingram argue that, you know, and in the reference list that appears like I've shown. This is APA. I'm APA biased. I love APA. Those who use a footnoted style, though, have a different way of approaching it when they're in Word. So that's going to be adding a footnote and then putting the EndNote information in at the bottom of the page. And that's a different style, how it comes out and how it looks, as you can really see. Footnoting styles can be very different, so really know your style and know how strict your lecturer or supervisor is. Some are very laissez-faire and really want you to do it in a way that's just the most understandable, and others want you to adhere very strictly to the style. So very important is to know your style and know your lecturer or supervisor. Okay, so if we're going to use EndNote, we need to open Word. So let's get out of this, and good reminder, I have EndNote open. EndNote needs to be open while I'm using Word, or EndNote and Word can't talk to each other. So yeah, a lot of people go, oh, I can't access my library. Like, have you closed EndNote? Very important, especially with that little button that accidentally closes it so easily. So I'm going to minimize for today, and I'm going to open up a Word document. Now this is just gobbledygook text, but it's just to demonstrate I've written an essay and I'm just plonking in references as I like. Okay, so let's get started. So here is my beautiful award-winning essay, not some Microsoft Office blurb, but we'll pretend. And we're going to start with in-text referencing because it's a little bit more straightforward than the footnoted style. Okay, so what I want you to do is find this little tab, EndNote Cite While You Write tab, as it's called, and click on it. So we can see lots of stuff here. The things you really need to focus on are go to EndNote, edit and manage citations, and the style. So you really want to make sure the style is coming through correctly because Chicago style is very different and isn't going to like an in-text format. So what I'm going to do is select APA. So always check that you select the correct referencing style. Now with in-text references, we insert them between the last word and the full stop. So pop a little space in there, and then I want to go to EndNote. I can also go down the bottom and just go to EndNote, but for today, I'm going to do it by the book. And I'm going to insert a citation. So let's pick Drew, and then this little button here, which is Insert Citation. And let's pop that in. Right away, we've got it in. I might find another one, space, go to EndNote. This time I might do 2, so let's hold down the Control key. Might pick that one because it's mine, and plunk it in. Lovely. Now, when I talked about those information versus author prominent, you do that in a different way. I don't click at the end of the sentence, I click at the beginning. And if I'm being very fastidious, I will change this. I might say, so obviously I've got to change that to a lowercase a. And I'm going to insert my citation here. So go to EndNote again, and I will click this one. And obviously that's come through just as a normal in-text citation. It doesn't work with the flow of the sentence. And that's when you're going to go to probably something that you will get to know very well, which is edit and manage citations. So I want you to click on that and just pop that over. And I can see here the reference I've got highlighted. I can go through all my references this way. And this is really where you'll be going to a lot to edit your references and manage your references. At the moment, it's formatting default, but I want it to be author prominent. So I'm going to look down here and display as author year. Beautiful. And there it goes. Ashley and Tunton argue that. And that's a really lovely way to just mix up your essay, having information prominent and author prominent back and forth, so it's just not as clunky, a nicer read really for the lecturer. And I might do that one more time just to demonstrate. And let's say, oh, that's one of those horrible URLs. Let's go. Let's go this one and citation. Let's say when, and then we'll go into that, edit and manage citations, and we want to do author year. University, states that. Lovely. So we have a few references in here, and if I scroll down, I can see that they're coming through nicely. I'm just going to pop in the word reference list. That doesn't come in automatically because you may have a different style that calls your references something else. In APA, I believe it's called a reference list, Chicago, a bibliography, but every style may have a different requirement for what you call it. So I'll just pop that down at the end so I can just look on my page and see my beautiful work. My reference list has come through really nicely, really tidy, which I love. Now, I've made it all pretty and it's all looking nice, but it is missing something that is required in APA style, and that's page numbers. So page numbers are really important in APA style. Not all styles do them. But if you want to do them, you do not type a little comma here and the page number. That will stuff your style. It's not recommended. You want to go back up here to your friendly neighborhood, edit and manage citations, which you will be spending a lot of time on, and click. So I'm on Drew at the moment. On its default, that's fine. But what I want to do is add a page number. So I'm going to add 24 to 26 and close. And that comes through. Now it's PP because it's more than one page. However, if I click on this, edit and manage citations, I might make this one 321, and I might make this one 1 to 2, and save. So that's going to put them in nicely. Now, it's really important that you put these in yourself and that you're doing it as you go. Every time you add this reference again, it's not going to have that information in it. So it's for each individual citation. Now, what if this one, where I put my page in, actually, I'll go find a different one. What if Lun is actually quoting someone else? Quoting within a citation is really irritating and happens a lot, but we need to work out how to get around it. Ideally, you go back and you find the actual original citation, but that's not always possible. And that's why we have prefixes and suffixes. So in a prefix, you will put the additional information. So you will put Smith 2013 P555 as cited in space. So you make sure you're following the APA style or whatever style you're doing, but this is a workaround if you can't find the actual original source of that quote. And that goes really nicely. It still has your citation there. It just keeps it a lot more tidy and pretty. And I'll just add this other one just so we can keep demonstrating our nice form. And I'll put in page 44, save. So we've got some nice, beautiful references. They've all come through. What if I look at this one and go, oh no, I don't think that's the author. I think it's two authors. So that's when I want to go edit library reference. So let's go here, and that's going to take me back to EndNote. And I'm going to like, no, the book I have actually has two authors. Ingram, Imogen. Oh, how silly of me. And it's actually called a dynamic journey in research. Oh, and that happens, you know, sometimes not all the information comes across. Sometimes there's a typo. It's always good to keep an eye on things. So I've done a nice edit of that. I've closed it up, and in preview, it's coming through beautifully. Now, I go back, it hasn't changed in Word. That's not a problem with Word. Word is waiting for you to update. It doesn't update automatically. You have to give it that information. We can see here, I'm still starboard at the end with no co-author. So what I want to do is update citations and biblio. So if you've changed anything in EndNote, you want to go into update citations and bibliography. And then you can see Starboard and Ingram has come in, as well as down in my reference list beautifully. So it's really important to, if you're doing any editing in EndNote, definitely go back and sort that out. So at any point, I can switch to another in-text style if I choose. So I can go down here and switch to Harvard or to any of the other in-text styles. I cannot switch to Chicago or Vancouver. These are footnoted styles. So just be mindful, you can switch between an in-text style, and if you're using a footnoted style, you can switch between a footnoted style, but you can't switch between an in-text and a footnote. So let's go to another in-text style just to show you how it changes ever so slightly. But my reference list is what really changes. And here is the problem. Like we said, one of these big, ugly URLs, it just can't happen. Your lecturer is not going to be pleased. So let's go edit library reference. Go down, 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 and there it is, the culprit. So we'll pop that into research notes because we're super organized. Cut that out, go down here. And again, that's not fixed because we haven't updated citations and bibliography. Bang, much, much nicer, much more slick and streamlined. And there we go, beautiful. So that's essentially in-text referencing. As long as you follow those steps, you'll be able to add as many references as you like. Now, it's really important if you want to remove a citation that you don't just delete or backspace. That is another way you can corrupt your document. It may not happen the first time, it may not happen the 20th time you do it, but it will eventually happen, and we have a lot of people in complete and utter tears when their document has been corrupted. So what I recommend, very much so, is using the edit and manage citations and removing a citation. Now, one thing EndNote strangely lets you do is a Control X and a move of a paragraph to here. For some reason, it doesn't mind that, but anything else where you delete like this, delete, it just gets in a bit of a tizzy. So don't. Your best bet is to go edit and manage citations, find the reference and remove citation. Find the reference, remove citation. So for today's purposes, I'm just going to remove all of these because I'm going to demonstrate footnoted style. So let's go remove citation. Okay. So I do have some little spaces after my full stops, but my reference list is gone, which is a bit distressing to see, but it's good to know you have that option. So what I'm going to do now is just do a bibliography and start showing you the Chicago style. Chicago is what I'll demonstrate, but any footnoted style will work this way. Okay, so footnoted style is slightly different. It begins after the full stop. So let's make sure I've switched this to Chicago style, which is very bad form if you don't, and get ready to import. Now, I don't just go straight to EndNote and put my citation in. All footnoted styles have this extra step. So it's a little bit tedious, but it's really important to remember. Okay, so what you want to do is click References and go to this Insert Footnote. There we go. And you'll get a footnote right at the bottom. Now, you go back to the way you've done the other citations. You pick your citation and you pop it in straight away. Now you'll see it coming on this page where we've got bibliography. I'll just put a little thing there, and at the bottom of the page. As I'm demonstrating, this may seem confusing, but as you're writing, that list will keep moving down the page. So at the moment, they're both on the same page, but as you continue adding more and more references, this won't be happening. So let's just suture these little problems. There we go. So we've added a citation. We may go here and add another citation. So let's go References, add footnote, and now we go to EndNote. So it's just that extra step, but it can be easy to forget at times. So let's go this one, and I might do 2 today, just so we've got a bit of a challenge for EndNote. Oh, and we've had a hideous reference come through. Not my favorite. So that's Philip. Let's go and find it. It is horrible, my goodness. Let's go to Edit Library Reference. Let it have a little think. And I'll just pop all the way down. And yes, there it is, that big ugly URL. And we want to get rid of that. And is it in Phillips as well? No, just make sure it's not in maybe. We've got 2 references there. No, beautiful. So again, it's still going to be there because we haven't updated citations and bibliography. And there it is, looking beautiful. So we've got that down at the bottom of our page, our nice little footnoted style. Now, depending on your style, you may want to add extra meaning in here. And really this, again, is based on your lecturer and the rules of your specific subject. Some lecturers are very laissez-faire. They really want you to put in as much information here as possible. Others want you to follow the style. So how we do that again is we go into Edit and Manage Citations, which you will be spending a lot of time on. Now, footnoted style has some ways that you can add extra meaning. So, for instance, if we're quoting within a source, which is always really annoying, we might say, Julia Gillard as cited in. We need to do a space because that won't be just inferred. It pops that straight in. But I also might want to add a page number. A lot of styles don't have these, so you need to go and try out how you're going to make it come through. P.34. So I've had to manually put the space, the P, and the 3.4 because that doesn't just come through automatically. Again, get to know your style and know your lecturer's preference. So I might go cited in, and I might do, there we go. Beautiful. So it's just added that bit of extra meaning into my document. And again, it's all about knowing your style and knowing what your lecturer prefers. I might add one more just to demonstrate. Put that after the cursor. And let's go again into references, insert footnote, back to EndNote, go to EndNote, and let's, who are we going to quote? You will do. Oh, what did I do? Another URL. My goodness. Okay, so let's go into this one. And we go edit library reference. And again, this is why it's really good to watch how they're coming through, get rid of those URLs. Hopefully this will be something that gets sorted as the styles catch up with how databases are working. But at the moment, it's just a bit tedious. So let's go edit citations. Beautiful. That's much nicer, much more tidy. And we can see our document starting to take shape. So really nice. And that's basically Chicago. So very similar to how we do it in text, we just have that added step where we go into references, but you can really see the use of that. Now, before I wrap up, just one more thing that people use a lot in EndNote is creating a standalone bibliography. So this is one that won't be linked to EndNote in any way. So once you've popped it into Word, it's yours to play with. It's really common for people to get an assignment of an annotated biblio as undergrads. Just what have you been reading and give me a summary of your thoughts. And also for postgrad to go, what are you reading? What are you reading that's contributing towards your PhD? So let's just show you how to do that. So I've got a plain old blank file, so I don't have to remove any of those citations, which I would if I was following correct procedure. Let's just zoom in a little bit. So you've got your Word document ready to go. You go into EndNote, and we'll just close up that citation. And you select the references you want to bring across, and you also select the style. So for me, I'm picking APA, but again, you pick any style you like. I'm going to hold down the Control key. Just get as many as I can. It's a bit of a click fest. And I'm going to right click. So I want to copy formatted. Always ensure you've got it set to the right referencing style. Copy formatted. Pop over to my blank Word document, and I'm going to paste. And that should just pop straight in, formatted beautifully. Obviously, I put in that one that has no information. I'll get rid of that. And now that it's not linked to Word, I can backspace. I can write anything I like in here. It's just a Word document at this point. You've only copied the formatting that you've selected. So it's a really quick way. If you have an assignment due really soon and you want to start using EndNote, but you don't want to link the document right away, you can just do this at the end, and it just formats a really nice reference list. Also a good way to see if some errors here, like we've got 3 dots for some reason, so that would be something I'd go back into EndNote and fix. Yes, it's just a really good, simple way to get yourself a biblio really quickly. Okay, that is EndNote in close to an hour. How have I gone for time? 53 minutes. So let's just go back to, I think from current slide, our top tips. So I've probably said this and I can't say it enough, use a single library. So work from one single library, use groups and smart groups to organize your references in a meaningful way that works for you. Do not have multiple libraries, it will end in tears. Don't delete using Word, don't backspace, use the EndNote program to manage your citations. So insert, edit, format, manage, and remove using that feature, not the backspace key, please. Save to a hard drive. That's our third one. Save and store your library and compress backups to a hard drive, USB, or EndNote Online, which as you get more confident with EndNote, we'll happily show you how to use that, but it's not really at an introductory level. So anything on the cloud can become irreparably corrupted and you'll lose everything. So can't stress that enough. Messy data. So we saw some of those URLs come through and things come through a bit ugly. Keep an eye on how it's coming in because the saying goes, messy data in, messy data out. So know your style and check that it's coming through nicely. Keep an eye out for those big ugly URLs. Hopefully library databases will modernize a bit and get rid of those, but at the moment it's not happening, so it's kind of up to you. Yeah, so that's really the most important things I could stress about EndNote. And again, this is a journey. people attend our sessions often a few times before they feel really confident using EndNote. This webinar series hopefully will help boost that, so you can watch and re-watch the sections that are most important to you or most valuable. But again, try the forums. If you're having a problem or something's not working, someone has probably solved it on the forums. It's a very big community and a very supportive community. I solve a lot of problems using the forums. That's sort of where I go first if I haven't come across something. And watch the videos. They're short, they're really punchy, they're really great for visual learners, and they can just do those little micro bursts you may need to boost your skills. And our guide, it's long, but it's got all the screenshots and all the steps you need. Yeah, and finally, thank you. I'm with Digital Literacy Training, and me and my small team are here to support you and assist you on your EndNote journey. So please get in touch if you're having issues or you just want some refresher tips. We can be contacted by email, digital.literacy@anu.edu.au, and by phone, 6125-8886. Sometimes if you're having trouble, just send us a screenshot and we'll probably be able to solve it over email. We're pretty prompt with replying. Also, you can book a one-on-one consultation if you've got a big document you're looking at formatting, you're having some EndNote issues. We do those with Word and EndNote. So please make contact. We're here to support students. And yeah, we really love helping out and learning about your unique research. It's really rewarding for us. So yeah, please make contact and keep using EndNote and asking questions. Thanks very much, and signing off.